Time for a look at the final session for the Simulated Baseball League. This is for the Tuesday night games for February 11th. Now, everything in the American League is decided except for a wild card position. So we're going to start over on the National League side, and we'll talk about the games that have playoff importance on both sides first, and then we'll get to the rest of the games that don't matter, and then we will go through all of the statistical rankings for you as well as we wrap up the regular season part of the league. The first, the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Astros and the Braves and all the drama that surrounded those teams in the National League. 4 teams jockeying for 3 spots. The Astros were the team with the inside straight. They had to win and have one of them lose. So we'll start with the other teams. The Athletics and the Red Sox. Boston lost it 8-4. So if New York wins, the Yankees have their division outright. Steve Ontiveros out of the Oakland bullpen, the winner, 6-0. Steve Ontiveros and Dennis Eckersley combined to go 13-0 out of the Oakland bullpen, and yet they don't end up in the playoffs. That's one of the more interesting oddities about this season. And the loss for the Red Sox to Hideki Akijima, 4-5. Home runs for Oakland. Al Simmons hit number 42 for Simmons. And Ted Williams at number 40 for the Red Sox. Jimmy Fox will end up at 65 home runs for the Athletics, and he'll finish second behind the Bambino. Now, as far as the Yankees, they beat the Rangers 8-2. The Yankees have clinched the division, and because the Red Sox lost, the Astros have a chance if they were to win, regardless of what the Braves do, to then force a tie there. So the Yankees have beaten Texas 8-2. They win the Central Division, which is the home of the 6 Northeast Corridor ball clubs, and they will be in the playoffs as the best team on this side of the alignment, them or the Braves. Spud Chandler the win, 18-10. And the loss will be charged to Nolan Ryan, 7-17. Home runs for New York. DiMaggio, number 35, and Mantle hit number 63. He finishes 3rd in the league and 2nd on the Yankee club in the home run race. And Texas got both their runs on home runs. Palmeiro, number 38. Frank Howard, number 29. Now for the Braves and Astros. The Braves edged the Rays 5-4. So with that, Houston is eliminated from the Eastern Division race, which is the Sun Belt Division. And Houston's got to win to force a tie for the wild card and a playoff with Boston. What's remarkable about this Atlanta game, they led 5-0 going to the 9th, and they almost gave it away. Tampa Bay scored 4 in the 9th inning. They really tried to give this away. In fact, let's give you the play-by-play in that 9th inning to just give you a sense of what happened as Atlanta nearly squandered this game. With 1 out, a single for Crawford, a walk to Bartlett, who pinch hit. Ledesma singled. Keppinger singled home 2. There was still only 1 out. Zobrist pinch hitting for Jennings. Kimbrel came on to pitch. And a 2-base error allowed a run to score, so it's 5-3. Runners at 2nd and 3rd. 1 out. Randy Wynn struck out. And then with 2 out, B.J. Upton walked, bases loaded. Carlos Pena was walked, bases loaded, 2 out. Longoria popped out to short, and that's how the game ended. The Braves, they nearly blew that entirely. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So, winning and losing pitchers. Tom Hughes, the win for Atlanta, 13-15. David Price, the loss, 7-19, and Craig Kimbrel gets charged with a save, number 34, but this is why the save is so overrated. Because Kimbrel in 2/3 came on and walked 2 and just about gave things away. He did finish with a 2.73 ERA, however. The Braves hit the only home runs in the ball game as Aaron, number 33, and Holmes with number 30 for the Braves. They hang on and win 5-4. So now the Astros. And the Astros are shut out by the Mets 2-0. That's going to eliminate Houston from any possibility of the postseason. That's tough. That Houston club was in contention to the very final day, and for a while they had a division lead, and on the final day they lose and miss out on a wild card. The Red Sox are in postseason as a wild card. Dwight Gooden got the win, 17-10. The Astros had their chances, however. And the loss for Houston to J.R. Richard, 20-10. And the winning hit for the Mets was a home run for Darryl Strawberry, number 38. Randy Myers picks up a save, number 33, for the Mets. Let's look at the Houston ninth to see if they had any kind of a threat going, because Boston blew their game late. They had the lead at one point. Houston in the ninth did have the leadoff man on. Biggio. Berkman grounded into a fielder's choice. Bagwell just missed a home run to deep right center, and Hidalgo was called out on strikes, and that ended the game. So the Mets win 2-0. So that's going to set that up. The Red Sox are the wild card. And since they're under the old rules, I'm thinking they're going to play the Braves in the first round, and the Yankees will... actually, no, the Red Sox will play the Dodgers, and the Yankees will play the Braves in our geographically aligned baseball league. Now, on the American League side, there was two games that had playoff implications. So first, we'll look at the Blue Jays. We'll look at the Reds. They were the team that could win it outright, and they have done so. They beat Cincinnati 10-2. They beat Kansas City 10-2. Cincinnati 10, Kansas City 2. The Reds have claimed the wild card, and they are going to play, it would appear, they're going to play probably the Cardinals, and Cleveland will play the White Sox. So no playoff tiebreakers after all the drama. Everything's been settled. Cincinnati 10-2, and your winning and losing pitchers: Jose Rijo 10-17 over Zach Greinke 9-19. And in the home run department, Rick Auerbach hit number 2 off the Cincinnati bench. Johnny Bench, number 37, and George Foster with number 40. The Toronto game, for what it's worth, would have meant something if the Reds did lose. Toronto beat Pittsburgh 5-2. They're going to finish one game out. They beat Pittsburgh 5-2. Jimmy Key, the win, 16-12. Jesse Tannehill is the loser at 18-8. And B.J. Ryan, the save, at number 37. Sean Dunston hit his third, and Giles, number 29, for Pittsburgh. So let's go through the rest of the games now, and then we'll go through the statistical leaders, and then we'll prepare you for the postseason. Back on the National League side, the Dodgers beat the Marlins 6-1. Dodgers have the best record in the entire league. They end up winning, looks like 101 games. I'll double check that when I look at the standings chart. In that 6-1 Dodger victory, Don Sutton 21-8 over Jose Fernandez 13-9. Jackie Robinson number 13 and Steve Garvey number 22 in the home run department for the Dodgers. Elsewhere, the Nationals beat up on the Phillies by a score of 11-2. And that's going to make a win for Dennis Martinez, 12-12. And the loss will be charged to Steve Carlton, 11-15. Home runs for the Nationals, Moises Alou, number 26. And Gary Carter, number 24. For the Phillies, there were no home runs. And so that means that Mike Schmidt falls one home run short of 50. The Giants beat the Orioles 5-4. And so in this game, Juan Marichal 19-9 over Dave McNally 13-12, and Jim Willoughby picks up save number 14. The only home run, Willie Mays, number 41, and I had to look for a second because he tripled, and when you see homer and triple with his name by it, you automatically start thinking possible cycle. That did not happen. The Angels beat the Padres 10-4. Messersmith 10-14 over Randy Jones 5-21. Home runs in this one. Salmon number 29 and Napoli number 4 for the Angels. Winfield number 30 for San Diego. Other games on the American League side, the Twins will get a 6-4 victory over the Cubs. Johan Santana 16-8 over Dick Ellsworth 10-16, and a save for Joe Nathan, number 43, and believe it or not, he ties Mariano Rivera for the save lead. Roy Smalley hit number 16 for Minnesota, and that was a grand slam. And as it turns out, on the Twins RBI race, that slam ends up giving Smalley 93 RBIs, one ahead of two guys named Mauer and Carew. Now, of course, Carew was batting at the top of the lineup all season, but which kind of shows you that the RBI is a bit of a misleading stat. The Brewers beat the White Sox 1-0. And so for Milwaukee, that's going to make a winner for Teddy Higuera, 13-15. And the loss to Hoyt Wilhelm, 7-11. Wilhelm had 40 saves, but he also had 18 decisions. That's hard to do. 40 saves and 18 decisions in the bullpen. That means he was the winner, the loser, or had a save in over 1/3 of all the White Sox games. 58 of them, to be exact. Somewhere that's got to be a record. If there's I would love to find a stat. I may have just come up with a great stats question to send to Elias or somebody, and that's to find the pitcher who holds the record for being in the somewhere in the decision of the most games in terms of combined wins, losses, and saves. 58. I would think that's hard to do, although I guess the two guys that come to mind right off the bat, well, in terms of saves, obviously you had Rodriguez with the 61 years, so the record's got to be above that, but in any event, I get distracted sometimes by oddities. There were no home runs in the game, 1-0 Milwaukee with the victory. The Indians will edge the Diamondbacks by a score of 2-1. And Louis Tion 17-11 over Bin Young Kim 6-8, charged with his 7th blown save. Rafael Perez picks up save 11. No homers in that game either. The Rockies edged the Cardinals 4-2. And the win will go to Chacin, 7-10. Over John Tudor, 13-10. Gabe White saved 34 for the Rockies. And there were no homers in this game at St. Louis. And one more game to tell you about. The Mariners edged the Tigers. The final score was 6-2 in favor of Seattle. And the Mariners hit a lot of home runs in this game. Felix Hernandez gets the win, 10-17. Justin Verlander the loss, 19-6. He doesn't join the 21 club. And a save to Arthur Rhodes, his third and his second in as many days. The Mariners hit 4 home runs. Alvin Davis, number 26. Brett Boone, a pair, numbers 14 and 15. And Scott Bradley, the backup catcher, who started a few games here at the end with number 2. No Tiger homered in the game. So here's a look at the final standings then before we go through the league leaders. On the National League side of our geographically aligned league, the Braves finish at 95-67. They won 8 of their final 10. They were 43-38 at home, 52-29 on the road. Houston finishes 2 back, and they were just 5-5 over their final 10. They were 93-69. The Astros actually improved on their performance, but they will miss the playoffs. The Braves dropped by 2 victories. I think Houston won 81 games in the first league. The Braves won 97, so the Braves dropped by 2 under this different alignment. Houston finishes 45-36 at home and 48-33 on the road. The Marlins will finish third at 70-92. That's an improvement for them of 8 games from the old league. And they were better on the road. 39 wins on the road, 31 at home. The Rangers finish at 65-97. That's very similar to where they were previously. It's a 3-game drop, actually. They were 35-46 at home. They were 30-51 on the road. The Rays finished 50-112, and believe it or not, that's an improvement for them. They won 26 at home and 24 on the road. In the Central Division, this is the Northeast Corridor under this geographic alignment. The Yankees are your winner. They're 95-67, tied with the Braves for the second best record in the league. Red Sox finished 94-68. They edged the Astros by a game for the wild card. The Yankees at home were 49-32. They were 46-35 on the road. The Yankees were very dominant in the other league, but they lost the World Series to the Giants. They won 114 games in the other league. The Red Sox finished 94-68. They won 100 in the other league. This was more competitive. Boston just 4-6 in their final 10, but they do get it done. The Yankees in their final 10 were 8-2. So that gives you an idea of what the Yankees did to close things out. The Red Sox won 48 at home and 46 on the road. Baltimore 92-70, and they lost their final 4. They won 46 at home and 46 on the road, and they finished 2 out of the wild card. The Mets finish at 82-80. They were just 2-8 over their final 10, however. 40-41 at home, 42-39 on the road. The Phillies finished 80-82. They were 8-2 in their final 10. They made some problems for teams. They were just 34-47 at home. They were 46-35 on the road. The Nationals finished 74-88, 36-45 at home, 38-43 on the road. In the West, the Dodgers, that's the California division, by the way, the Dodgers finished at 162. I mistakenly said the 101. It's 100. 162, the Dodgers record. The Giants finished 93-69, tied with Houston, 1 game behind the Red Sox. Had the had the Red Sox not had their great finish to even get into the wild card discussion, you would have ended up with a Houston-San Francisco playoff. The Giants finished 7 out of the division. The Dodgers, by the way, I should mention, were 53-28 at home, and they were 47-34 on the road. The Giants at 93-69 were 43-38 at home, 50-31 on the road. The Athletics finished third, 84-78, 43 wins at home, 41 on the road. The Padres at 75-87, 37 wins at home and 38 on the road. And the Angels in last at 64-98, although they did play pretty well coming down the stretch. They were 14-8 over their final 22. They finished 8-2 and 3 in a row in the win column. They were just 29-52 at home. They were 35-46 on the road. Now, on the American League side of the geographically aligned league, we'll start in the Eastern Division. That's that Eastern Ohio River Great Lakes area alignment. Cleveland wins it 92-70. They won 43 at home and 49 on the road. Cincinnati's your wild card team. They are 90-72, 2 behind Cleveland. They won 42 at home and 48 on the road. Toronto finishes a game behind Cincinnati in the wild card. They were just 4-6 though in their final 10. Toronto got off to that great start, and after getting off to just an amazing start, they basically floundered around 500 the final 3 quarters of the season. Toronto was just 39-42 at home. They were 50-31 on the road. Ballpark factor. That's interesting. Toronto, Atlanta, and Houston had some interesting splits in that regard. So Toronto 89-73, Pittsburgh 86-76. So I misspoke. The Pirates had already been eliminated. Pittsburgh lost its final 3. They won 42 at home and 44 on the road. They finish a full 4 games out of the wild card. And Detroit finishes 78-84. Total collapse. They were 77-73 and actually trying to climb into the wild card. And then they go just 1-11 over their final 12. They finish with 39 wins, 42 losses, home and away. The Central Division of the American League side, that is the gateway to the West Division, and you'll see why I call it that if you've been paying attention. The Cardinals got to their high water mark at 17 over. They finished at 16 over at 89-73. They finally started getting hot late because they were really having a hard time getting anywhere more than 10 over 500 for pretty much the whole season. But they do go 7-3 in their final 10. They finish with 43 wins at home and 46 on the road. 89-73 is the Cardinal record. That's the second best record among the division winners. That's the thing about this whole alignment. If this alignment's done differently because it was a balanced schedule, the Cardinals had a weaker record than the Reds, and they were tied with the Blue Jays. Kansas City finishes second. They were 77-85. They won 36 at home and 41 on the road. Seattle, third at 72-90. They were 35-46 at home, and they were better on the road. They were 37-44. The Rockies were 68-94. That's a huge improvement for them, though. They were down in the 50s in win total in the old league. They were 7-3 in their last 10. The old league was the old National League alignment that was in effect through 2012. Rockies won 33 at home and 35 on the road. It's actually kind of remarkable when you look at their home road splits, obviously for hitting and pitching, that their win-loss totals would be just about evenly distributed in terms of home and road games. The Diamondbacks also finished at 68-94. Their road splits were a little more noticeable. 37 road wins, only 31 at home. And then in the American League West, that's that upper Midwest division with those 4 clubs up there. White Sox win at 86-76. They were 40-41 at home. They were 46-35 on the road. Minnesota finishes a game back, 85-77, 38-43 at home. The home field hurt Minnesota, 47-34 on the road. I think in the next league, Minnesota's going to have to come up with a team that can either hit for more power or run better so they can run their way into some victories. The Cubs finish at just 83-79. I really thought they were going to be a powerhouse team, and it looked for all the world like they were going to put it together, and then they stumbled down the stretch, going 4-6 down over their final 10. They were 44-37 at home, and they were just 39-42 on the road. And the Milwaukee Brewers were 61-101. They won 32 at home and 29 on the road. So your playoff matchups then will look like this, and because they use the old system where the division winner can't play the wild card, the way this will work then on the National League side, the Western Division Dodgers will get the wild card Red Sox out of the Central, and the Central Division champion Yankees and the Braves out of the East get each other. I'm not sure who gets home field there. That's going to be based on how they did against each other during the season, so we'll find that out once the schedule is released late tonight when it's generated by the What If Sports website. On the American League side of our alignment, you have the wild card winner, the Reds. They will, and they come out of the Eastern Division. Well, Cleveland had the best record on that side, so they're going to play the team with the second best record, and that would be the Cardinals. So it's Reds and Cardinals on the American League side, while the White Sox play the Indians. And so the White Sox and the Indians will play one another. The White Sox are the weakest team out of the entire postseason qualification field. They won just 85 games. Or 86 games, excuse me. So that's how that works out. So let's, and of course the schedules they played are different because the alignment was radically different. But it's interesting to note, if this had been the old alignment, how the playoff picture might have looked. In the old American League West alignment, the Athletics would have been your best team with 84 wins. Seattle, Texas, and Angels way down. The Central, Cleveland would have been your best team with 92 wins. The Twins and the White Sox would have been competitive. And in the Eastern Division, what a fun scenario that was. And in a way, that played out in real life to a certain extent, because you had those teams together for the most part. You had the Yankees win 95, Boston 94, and Baltimore 92. Toronto won 89, but they were over on the other side of the league. And then under the old National League alignment, out west, of course, that's a little more indicative of what you have because the California teams were together. But the Dodgers at 101, the Giants 93, the Padres, Diamondbacks, and Rockies way down. The old National League Central would have been a fun race. The Astros would have actually edged out the Reds, Houston winning 93, Cincinnati winning 90, St. Louis 89, Pittsburgh 86, the Cubs 83, and then the Brewers way down there at 61. And in the old National League East, not close, Braves winning easily over the Mets, followed by the Marlins and Nats. The Mets finished second, so it would have been Braves, Mets, Phillies, Nationals, and Marlins. Many of the players that were in the original simulated league, of course, were in this league too. Let's look at your award winners for the regular season, and this is final. This was updated for the final time with the simulations that ran at 6:06 Eastern Time tonight. Most valuable players on the National League side, Jeff Bagwell of the Astros gets the title, edging out Jimmy Fox of the Athletics, Mickey Mantle of the Yankees, Babe Ruth of the Yankees, and Duke Snider of the Dodgers. I actually am kind of surprised by that, but there must be an overall statistical aspect where Bagwell is better. We'll look at that when we look at the statistical leaders here in a few minutes. Most valuable player on the American League side of our geographic aligned league is going to go to Norm Cash of Detroit, followed by Todd Helton of Colorado, and then Frank Thomas of the White Sox, Pete Rose of Cincinnati, and Stan Musial of the Cardinals. Cy Young Awards, National League alignment, Christy Mathewson of the Giants, that's not a surprise. Cy Young of the Red Sox finishes second. Greg Maddux of the Braves finishes third. Mike Scott of Houston fourth. Don Sutton of the Dodgers is fifth. Cy Young Award on the American League side, Babe Adams of the Pirates will win it, followed by Bob Gibson of the Cardinals. Joe Nathan of Minnesota, the closer, finishes third. Mark Fidrich of Detroit is fourth. And Aroldis Chapman, the Cincinnati closer, is fifth. That's interesting. I'd have figured Rivera was somewhere in there. That's really interesting. Well, just goes to show, even in the simulated world, well, Rivera's on the National League side, so I misspoke there, but there was more dominant pitching on that side. So that would explain why Rivera wasn't in that award. Fireman Award, National League, Rivera does get that for the Yankees, followed by Eckersley of Oakland, Gagne of the Dodgers, Uehara of Boston, and Wagner of Houston. I would imagine Nathan wins this for the Twins, and he does on the American League side of the alignment, followed by Ryan of Toronto, Chapman of Cincinnati, Wilhelm of the White Sox, and White of the Rockies finishes fifth. Silver Sluggers, and of course with this league under the original simulated league, I did the traditional way, AL, DH, NL pitchers bat. This league with the very different alignment, I went DH all the way. The next league I think I'm going to scrap the DH and the pitchers are going to bat for everybody. So your Silver Slugger winners on the National League side of the alignment, so it's the California League, the California Division, the Northeast Corridor, and the Sun Belt Division. The DH is Jimmy Fox of the Athletics. The catcher is Roy Campanella of the Dodgers. Jeff Bagwell of Houston at first. Jose Vidro of the Nationals at second. Mike Schmidt of the Phils at third. Rico Petrocelli of Boston at short. Babe Ruth of the Yankees in left. Mickey Mantle of the Yankees in center, Joe DiMaggio of the Yankees in right. So the Yankees take the Silver Slugger Award across the board in the outfield. On the American League side of the alignment, this is the basically all of the Midwestern teams on both the western and eastern side of the Great Lakes, plus the Blue Jays, as well as the Rockies, Diamondbacks, and Mariners. So your Silver Sluggers, Delgado of Toronto at DH, Hartnett of the Cubs at catcher, Todd Helton of the Rockies at first, Ryan Sandberg of the Cubs at second, Dick Allen of the White Sox, who's a first baseman by trade, but he could play third, and with Frank Thomas being on their team, Allen was moved to third. Lou Boudreau of Cleveland at short, Matt Holliday of the Rockies in left, Ellis Burks of the Rockies in center, Larry Walker of the Rockies in right. Go figure that. Silver Slugger. The Yankees sweep the outfield on one side and the Rockies on the other. That's actually rather remarkable. In fact, 4 Rockies take the honors, and they didn't all play together. Walker, Burks, Helton, and Holliday. Gold Glove Award winners. And that's the final set of awards you get to, and then we'll get to your stat leaders. Earl Hershiser of the Dodgers, Ivan Rodriguez of Texas, Jim Edmonds, who was the first baseman for the Angels. That was one of the lineup oddities that we were working with. Their best hitters historically were never a first baseman, so we took another outfielder and stuck him at first. That was Edmonds. So Edmonds gets the Gold Glove over there. Bill Sweeney from the 1912 Boston Braves on the Atlanta club is the Gold Glove at second. Doug DeCinces of the Angels at third. Johnny Logan of the Braves from their 1955 Milwaukee club at short. So it's all Braves and Angels on the infield. Tim Raines from the 84 Expos, representing the Nationals, is the left field Gold Glover, joined by Richie Ashburn from the Phillies and Willie Mays of the Giants. American League side of the geographic alignment, Mark Fidrich of Detroit and Johnny Bench of Cincinnati is the battery. Right side of the infield, Goldschmidt of Arizona and Eric Young of the Rockies. Left side of the infield, Bautista of Toronto, who was an outfielder but also played some third. We stuck him at third. That turned out just fine. He's joined by Honus Wagner, 1901 Pittsburgh Pirates, on the left side of the infield. Outfield Gold Glove, Lloyd Mosby, Toronto Blue Jays, Willie Wilson of the Royals, and Kirby Puckett of Minnesota, left, center, and right. So that is that. Now let's give you a look at the statistical leaders from a variety of categories. Because of this different alignment, I won't divide this off by. Well, yeah, I will. I'll do the top 25, both sides. We'll start on the National League side of the alignment. Home run leaders: Babe Ruth will win that category, 70 overall, followed by Jimmy Fox with 65. Now, in terms of at bats, Fox actually had more at bats, not necessarily plate appearances, but at bats. But Ruth of the Yankees was 60 with 70. Fox of the A's was 65. Mantle of the Yankees is in third with 63. Gehrig of the Yankees fourth with 55. Howard of the Phillies, Ryan Howard, hit 51. Bagwell of Houston hit 50. Now, you wondered why Bagwell finished as the MVP leader, and I think it's because of his overall on-base and batting average put together. Because Ruth hit only 280, a 410 on base, and a 677 slugging. Fox hit 317 with a 406 on base and a 663 slugging. Mantle hit 321 with a 426 on base and a 673 slugging. Gehrig hit 332 with a 414 on base and a 645 slugging. And then Howard hit just 252. And then look at Bagwell. 350 average, 457 on base, 659 slugging. So not quite the slugging those guys had, but the better on base and a better batting average. So that's why Bagwell got the MVP. Now when you look at it from that standpoint. Okay, so the rest of the top 25 in home runs is I got distracted. Schmidt with 49, Frank Robinson with 48. Robinson was on the Baltimore club. Reggie Jackson on the Oakland club with 46. Matt Williams on the San Francisco club with 46. Yastrzemski of Boston with 46. Maris of the Yankees also had 46. Ott of the Giants had 44. Al Simmons of Oakland, 42. Troy Glaus of the Angels with 41. Willie Mays of the Giants with 41. Jim Gentile of Baltimore had 41. Ken Williams of the Orioles had 40. The former St. Louis Brown. Ted Williams of Boston with 40. Barry Bonds of San Francisco hit 39. Lefty O'Dowd of the Dodgers, 38. Darryl Strawberry of the Mets, 38. Rafael Palmeiro of Texas, 38. Adrian Beltre of the Mets, 37. Chipper Jones hit 35. And there's probably other guys that hit 35, but they only show the top 25. I'll do the top 25 in home runs on the American League side as well. The rest of these I'm only going to go top 10, but just to give you an idea, this is definitely a hitter's league. Frank Thomas led the other circuit in home runs, which is 55. Rather remarkable considering the hitters on the other side. Mark McGwire had 52. Hank Greenberg, 46. Hack Wilson, 45. Gabby Hartnett, 44. Ralph Kiner, 43. Todd Helton, 7th, 43. Let's give you the Helton line real quick. This is remarkable. 278 hits, 60 doubles, 1 triple, 43 home runs, 180 driven in, 90 walks, 57 strikeouts. He ends up hitting .402 with a .472 on base and a .678 slugging. Dick Allen had 43 home runs as well. Ted Kluszewski of Cincinnati had 42. Larry Walker of Colorado with 41. Sammy Sosa of the Cubs with 40. Stargell of Pittsburgh also with 40, and Foster of Cincinnati with 40. Delgado of Toronto and Kingman of the Cubs, and Bell, that's Albert Bell of Cleveland, and Jermaine Dye of the White Sox all had 39 home runs. Manny Ramirez 38 for Cleveland, Ellis Burks 38 for Colorado, Luis Gonzalez 37 for Arizona, Johnny Bench 37 for Cincinnati, Tony Perez also 37 for Cincinnati, Rocky Colavito 37 for Detroit, Musial had 36 for St. Louis, Matt Holliday 36 for Colorado. So that's your top 25. Let's look at the rest of your leaders in terms of top 10. National League batting average. Jeff Bagwell, 350 was your batting leader. DiMaggio's second at 340. So Bagwell won the batting race by a wide margin. Sisler of Baltimore at 338. Gehrig of the Yankees at 332. Al Simmons of the Athletics at 324 was fifth. And then 6 through 10, Mickey Mantle, Lefty O'Dowd, Jimmy Fox, Carl Yastrzemski, Jose Vidro. Vidro will finish with a 314 average, good for fifth, tied with Lance Berkman of the Astros. On the American League side of the alignment, and I should say this is based on guys who are qualified for the batting title with 502 at bats. Helton, the leader, at 402. Norm Cash for the Tigers hit 362 with a 485 on base. Ellis Burks of Colorado hit 358. Matt Holliday of Colorado hit 349. Larry Walker of Colorado, you can see the Coors Field effect here. His ballpark effect is factored in. 342. Pete Rose of Cincinnati hit 331. Cecil Cooper of Milwaukee, a good year, at 326. Frank Thomas of the White Sox, look at his line. 201 hits, 44 doubles, 2 triples, and 55 home runs. Hit 324 with a 436 on base and a 667 slugging. Rod Carew of Minnesota, 9th. Roberto Clemente of Pittsburgh, 10th at 322. Okay, on base percentage, American League, Norm Cash, 487 is your leader. Todd Helton was second at 472, so it wasn't even close. The rest of your top 10, Frank Thomas, Albert Pujols, Jose Bautista, Larry Walker, Ellis Burks, Carlos Delgado, George Brett, Matt Holliday. Holliday checks in at 399, so only 9 players had an on-base of 400 or better on that side. On the National League side of your alignment, Mickey Mantle is the leader. Jeff Bagwell is the leader in on-base at 457. That would have been not even in the top 3 on the other side. Mickey Mantle, Barry Bonds, Ted Williams, 3rd and 4th. That's actually amazing that Bonds and Williams finished 3rd and 4th. Bonds, 313 average, 424 on base. Williams, 312 average, 423 on base. Well, that's remarkable how similar their stats are. In fact, their slugging is very similar, 567 to 557 in favor of Williams. Gary Sheffield 5th, Lou Gehrig 6th, Babe Ruth 7th, Joe DiMaggio 8th, Jimmy Fox 9th. In terms of on base, Mel Ott 10th at 405. Now, on that side of the alignment, you have to go. Let's see. Well, let's see. The top 10 had the on base at 400 plus because you dropped from all the way down to 397 for Yastrzemski, who is 11th. In terms of slugging, Babe Ruth at 677 is your leader on the National League side. Mantle, Fox, Bagwell, Gehrig, Yastrzemski, Schmidt, Ted Williams, Al Simmons, Mel Ott, your top 10. Ott checks in at 560. On the American League side, top 10 on the American League side of the alignment. Is going to be led by Todd Helton. Helton had a slugging of 678. Helton, did he edge out Ruth? He sure did. Helton by 1 point over Ruth in terms of slugging. 678. The rest of your top 10 on that side: Frank Thomas, Ellis Burks, Norm Cash, Larry Walker, Matt Holliday, Manny Ramirez, Ralph Kiner, Stan Musial, and Gabby Hartnett of the Cubs in 10th, checking in at 562. Stolen bases on the National League side. I checked at the American League side of the alignment. Willie McGee of the Cardinals, 58 leads everybody, was caught 15 times. Lofton at 56, caught 22. Kenny Lofton of Cleveland. Roberto Alomar, Willie Wilson, Eric Burns of Arizona are your top 5 in stolen bases, followed by Joe Morgan, Ty Cobb, Eric Young, Johnny Damon, and Ozzie Smith. Smith was 40 and 13 on the bases. On the National League side of the geographic alignment, your top stolen base will be Luis Castillo of the Marlins, and he led the big league. 61 steals. He was also cut 23 times. 61 steals for Castillo. Tim Raines, second. Hard to believe. 60 steals, caught 15. Lance Johnson, he had a remarkable year in some ways. We'll talk about him in a minute. He was third, followed by Craig Biggio, then Crawford, Brian Roberts, Tony Gwynn, Cesar Cedeno. Jason Bartlett of Tampa Bay, 9th in stolen bases with 40. He was 40 and 7. He was one of the best runners in the league with that percentage. And George Sisler of Baltimore is 10th Nobody goes 40-40. We did have a couple of 30. We had a 30-30 player. In fact, we had two 30-30 players. Cesar Cedeno of Houston, 33 home runs and 40 stolen bases. And George Sisler, who played for the Orioles, the old St. Louis Brown, 39 stolen bases, 35 home runs. Let me just double checking on the other guys that were 30-30. Ryan Braun of Milwaukee, 34 home runs, 33 stolen bases. Ellis Burks of Colorado missed the 30-30 mark because he only had 26 stolen bases. Dale Murphy was the other guy that came very close, the former Brave, 30 home runs and 29 stolen bases. Other league leaders. Let's talk about the triples leader here for a minute, because this is a good one. Lance Johnson was a Met in 1996, and that was the season for Johnson that was on this Mets roster. He had a very good year, 217 hits. He had 15 doubles, 25 triples, 2 home runs, 25 triples. He was also 50-20 as a base runner. He had 311 with a 341 on base. The on base isn't great, but a lot of hits and lots of extra base hits. In fact, the next closest player was Randy Wynn with 15 triples. So Johnson had 10 more triples than anybody else on that National League side of the alignment. On the American League side of the alignment, your triples leader is Willie McGee of St. Louis with 17. So Lance Johnson, big number in the triples department. McGee, a good year, 25 doubles, 17 triples, 13 home runs. Offerman of Kansas City, 15 doubles, 17 triples, and 3 homers. And Stephen Drew of Arizona, 31 doubles, 15 triples, and 9 home runs. Doubles leaders, Todd Helton on the American League side of the alignment was 60. And Tony Oliva of Minnesota was 60. Oliva had 60 doubles, 8 triples, 24 homers. And the two of them way out in front. Ty Cobb was next with 52 doubles. And on the National League side of the alignment, Cesar Cedeno of Houston, the doubles lead, was just 47. Followed by Wade Boggs of Boston, who also had 47 doubles. As far as some of your other interesting stat leaders, your leaders in terms of plate appearances, Pete Rose with 803 plate appearances. Kenny Lofton had 797. Tim Raines led the other circuit with 786. Jeff Bagwell was the leader in intentional walks with 35, followed by Frank Thomas at just 26. Duke Snider and Ted Kluszewski each had 13 sacrifice flies to lead in that category. Your leader in sacrifice bunts was David Hulse of the Texas Rangers with Hulse led with 7 sacrifice bunts. And your infield hit leader actually, let's look at this. Okay, so that's leader in sacrifices. Your leader in bunt hits is Tony Gwynn of San Diego with, looks like, 36. And your leader in terms of infield hits is Willie Wilson of Kansas City with 60 infield hits. The leader in terms of pinch hit at bats, and this will go for all players. Reggie Jefferson is your leader in pinch hit at bats with 54. Jefferson with Seattle. Your leader in pinch hits is also Reggie Jefferson. 16 for 54 as a pinch hitter. Your leader in grounding into double plays, Joe Mauer, hit into 36 for Minnesota. In fact, catchers are your top 4 in terms of grounding into double plays, followed by Cochran of the A's, Ted Simmons of St. Louis, and Campanella of the Dodgers. Your non-catcher leader in ground ball double plays, George Kell, the Detroit Tiger third baseman. The longest hitting streak belongs to Todd Helton at 42. Stan Hack of the Cubs had a 33-game streak. Luke Appling of the White Sox, a 30-game streak. Those were the only 3 30 or greater. Larry Walker is your overall leader in the entire league with runs scored, as he scored 150. Ellis Burks, Todd Helton of Colorado, 1, 2, 3, and the runs scored department. Your leader in walks overall is Gary Sheffield. The Marlin outfielder, 138 walks, 100 strikeouts. He had 273 with a 415 on base and a 499 slugging. The leader in strikeouts among batters, Troy Glaus of the Angels. He hit 41 home runs. He also struck out 210 times. Ryan Howard of the Phillies, I thought for sure would get that title. He also struck out 210. Carlos Pena of the Rays, 202. And it's interesting, Glaus had 13 more at bats than Howard, so in terms of strikeouts per at bat, Howard 210 and 612. Carlos Pena 202 and 567. So that's not a stat you want to lead the league in. Another one you don't want to lead the league in is how many times you were caught stealing. Ty Cobb was the worst. He stole 47. He was caught 46 times. Memo to self, next league, his running is limited. You can set the individual players' restrictions on that. Ty Cobb, not a great base runner in terms of percentage. He won't be running so much. That was true for a lot of the guys back in the older days. Wagner of Pittsburgh, 38 stolen bases, but he was caught 33 times. Sweeney of the Braves, 27 caught, only 18 successful. Jackie Robinson, that's kind of surprising. 26 caught, 27 successful. Cesar Cedeno of Houston wasn't that great either. 24 caught, 40 successful. The others with 20 or more caught stealings: Alomar of Toronto, 24 caught, 53 successful. Castillo of the Marlins caught 23, stole 61. Lofton of Cleveland caught 22, stole 56. Lance Johnson, 20 caught, 50 successful. And then Eric Young of Colorado, 20 caught, 45 successful. Eric Burns of the Diamondbacks, 49 successful, 18 caught stealing, just to give you some perspective. Okay, among pitchers, I'm going to do this league-wide. Your leaders in complete games: Babe Adams of the Pirates had 21. Addie Joss of Cleveland had 16, so Adams way out in front. The rest of your top 10: Tom Seaver of the Mets, Dwight Gooden of the Mets, Bob Gibson of the Cardinals, Christy Mathewson of the Giants, Dave McNally of the Orioles, Mike Cuellar of the Orioles, Frank Owen of the White Sox, Tully Sparks of the Phillies. Your league leaders in ERA National League: Mathewson of the Giants, is the leader at 207. Maddox of the Braves, 258. Sutton of the Dodgers, 303. Peavy of the Padres, 312. Walsh of the Cubs, 325. Scott of Houston, 327. Adams of Pittsburgh was the leader on the American League side at 339. That was definitely more the hitting league in terms of average. The leader in terms of shutouts is Tom Glavine. 10 complete games, 5 shutouts. Babe Adams, 21 completes and 5 shutouts. He also had one more start than Glavine. Mike Scott of Houston, 9 completes, 4 shutouts. Tom Seaver of the Mets is the strikeout leader with 285 in 270 and 2/3. Pedro Martinez, Randy Johnson, Mike Scott, J.R. Richard, Kurt Schilling, Sandy Koufax, Dwight Gooden, Jake Peavy, and Roger Clemens, the top 10 in strikeouts. Among your starters, Greg Maddux is the leader in whip at 091. Mathewson second at 105. That's not close. It's amazing that Maddux had the ERA he did, given that great whip. Peavy of San Diego is third. McNally of the Orioles led the other circuit at 114 with a 4.46 ERA. That side was not the pitching side. That's rather remarkable, the way that worked out. Your leaders in terms of the other statistical categories, let's first look at wins and losses and saves, which are all overrated. Cy Young ends up being your leader at wins. He's 24-7 and 33 starts for the Red Sox. Mathewson for the Giants was 23-6. The rest of your 20-game winners: Bob Gibson was 21-8. Don Sutton, 21-8. Alan Sothran on the Baltimore club, 21-7. Babe Adams for Pittsburgh was 21-8. Fidrich of Detroit, 21-5. Despite not great numbers, that's where being lucky factors into wins and why it's overrated. Mike Scott of Houston, 20-10. And here's why wins don't tell you the story. And just in this simulated league, I'm going to give you the line on Scott and Fidrich, and you tell me What's the better season? Fidrich, 32 starts, 3 complete games, 1 shutout, 21 wins, only 5 losses, 225 innings, 249 hits allowed, 93 runs, all but one of those earned. He allowed 16 home runs, striking out, or walking 52, striking out 89. A 279 batting average allowed. Repeat, 279. A 321 on base, a 362 slugging, a 134 whip, and a 368 ERA. Here's Mike Scott. 33 starts, 9 complete games, 4 shutouts, 20 wins, 10 losses, 1 less win, 5 more losses, 25 more innings at 250 and a third, 50 fewer hits allowed at 199, 100 runs, 91 earned, more runs, shockingly, at 100 to 93, but 1 fewer in the earned, or 1 more in the earned, 1 less in the earned column at 92 to 91 in favor of Fidrich. Now, Scott gave up more home runs, 28-16. He walked 88, which was more than Fidrich, but he struck out 271. That's 3 times as many. Batting average allowed, Fidrich 279, Scott 214. Slugging allowed, Fidrich almost 400 because of the high batting average. Scott was just 353. Whip, Fidrich 134, Scott 115. ERA, Fidrich was 368, Scott 327. Scott had the much better year. So for the people who want to say that the win tells you about the pitcher, no, it doesn't. Not really. J.R. Richard at Houston also 120. It was 20-10. Though not nearly as dominant as Scott. He had a whip of 150 and an ERA of 474. Hershiser of the Dodgers wins 19. So that's your 20-win club. The league leaders in losses, that actually tells you more than wins. That means you weren't pitching well enough to be lucky enough to win. Larry Sorensen of Milwaukee, 2 complete games, no shutouts, just 5 and 22. Randy Jones of San Diego had 6 complete games, and yet he was just 5 and 21. Frank Tanana of the Angels, 7 complete games, was 11 and 20. Marty Patton of Milwaukee, 1 complete game, and it was a shutout. He went 6 and 20. Cole Hamels of Philadelphia was 9 and 20. And those are your 20-game losers. I don't know if you'd ever see a 20-game loser in the big leagues anymore. Not in real life. In the saves category, Joe Nathan, 43 out of 47 attempts, which, man, he and Rivera were very similar. 43 of 47 for Nathan, 43 out of 46 for Rivera. Hoyt Wilhelm, 40 out of 47 for the White Sox. Gagne had 38 out of 43 for the Dodgers. Hoffman for San Diego, 37 for 40, or 38 for 43. Ryan of Toronto, B.J. Ryan, 37 of 42. Billy Wagner of Houston, 36 of 40. Dennis Eckersley of Oakland, 7-0 record, 35 out of 37. Percentage-wise, that's actually very similar to Rivera. Uehara of Boston, 35 of 37. Chapman of Cincinnati, 35 out of 43. Kimbrel of Atlanta, 34 of 49. Gabe White of Colorado, 34 out of 41. Myers of the Mets, Randy Myers, 33 out of 41. The rest of the closers with 30-plus, Percival, Suter, Brian Harvey of the Marlins at 31. McGraw of Philadelphia, Greg Holland of Kansas City, Tyler Clippard for the Washington Nationals had 30. The rest of the closers on the teams had less than 30. And in some cases, they were not allowed to be the closer the entire way. Your leader in terms of appearances Raleigh Fingers of the Brewers was in 80 games, had a 5-4 record, and he was 0-3 in saves. Tim Burke of the Nationals was second with 78 appearances. One more thing to look at, and then we're going to put this to bed. Been going for a long time here, folks. Bob Turley of the Yankees, the starter. He will not be starting a postseason game for them, and here's why. He was 9-16, and in 196 1/3, he allowed 183 hits, 175 runs, threw 52 gopher balls, and he led the league with 163 walks. My goodness, only a 242 batting average allowed, but when the on base against you is 380, 480 slugging, a 176 whip, and a 747 ERA. My God, when you have an ERA that's a jumbo jet, oh my goodness. That's amazing. Art Fromm of Cincinnati was next, and Fromm had 145 walks, and he somehow managed to have better numbers, even though his sabermetrics were almost as bad. Ubaldo Jimenez of the Rockies also struggled. Of course, part of that for him is the ballpark, but when you walk 145 and strike out 146, when you walk as many as you strike out, that's not going to go well. One more thing, let's look at the league-wide averages here. And this league was more of an offensive-oriented league. The batting average in the other league was 264. It's going to be higher in this league. The average team scored 925 runs, had 1,606 hits, 252 doubles, 39 triples, 212 home runs. There were 601 walks per average per team, 1,002 strikeouts average per team. This is, of course, looking at the hitting and pitching stats all put together. There were 52 hit batsmen average per team, and the average team stole 87 bases and was caught 43 times. The batting average was 11 points higher in this league. The league batting average was 275. The on-base 347, the slugging 441. That would translate to a pitching figure of a league-wide 5.32 ERA with a whip of 152. I've got to find a way to make the pitching better, and I think the key will be coming up with sequences to make the starting pitching better for most clubs. The all teams average 21 complete games. That's not the way it is anymore in baseball. We may try to make the league run more like a modern league in that respect. All teams also averaged 3 shutouts with an average of 36 saves and 48 attempts. The back of the bullpens actually were okay. And the average whip 1.52. That's 1.5 base runners per inning pitched. That's going to wrap everything up. The long season recap on the final night of the games in the Simulated League. The playoffs are next. And we have some teams that are returning. The Yankees and the Indians and the Red Sox are all returning to postseason play, along with the Braves, the White Sox, Cardinals, and Dodgers are new, and the Reds are a returnee. They beat the Nationals in a one-game playoff to get there the last go-around. The Athletics, the Cubs, and the Giants, who were the world champion in the last league, by the way, they upset the Yankees. The 100-win Giants dethroned the 114-win Yankees in the World Series. I say dethroned. It was an upset, though. So the Giants won't even be there. But the playoffs are set, and we'll start talking about those tomorrow.